An intimidating title, Alana. You know, the rise and fall of Adolf Hitler.
Adolf.
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 Yeah, Adolf. Adolf.
Did you know his real name was Hold on. His real name was Adolf Schicklgruber?
Adolf Schicklgruber? Might have been.
No, it was.
I mean,
and he changed it to Hitler.
Yeah,
and
well,
I remember in class, we
Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is the rise and fall of Adolf Hitler. And we're fortunate to have with us to talk about the rise and fall of Adolf Hitler, Alana McLaughlin. And Alana, let me welcome you to the show. And as our audience undoubtedly know that you've been with us many, many times before. And each time that we come, I have to, in a real sense, offer a disclaimer for some of the topics that you've decided to select. I think you've dealt with everything from racial integration to the LGBT movement to, as a matter of fact, I think you started out with us with the attack on America a long time ago. And so again, this is another of your topics, and I think we're glad to have you here again with us this month because you missed last month, and during that time a lot of folks asked about you. And so I want you to know that you're very, very popular here as well as being popular on the internet. And so let's start off again this morning by having you to give us some information about your background, your education, and your experiences. And then we'll have an opportunity to talk about, during the second segment, the rise and fall of Adolf Hitler. Let's do it from that perspective.
As you introduced me, my name is Alana McLaughlin. I have been featured on the show since about 2010, which would be about 5 years. I have a middle school education. I am 13 years old, and I am your granddaughter. I am very involved in the church and my school and programs such as the summer program for verbally and mathematically precocious youth at Western Kentucky University Center for Gifted Studies, as well as their summer camp for academically talented students. I'm also involved in the Junior National Young Leaders Conference, which I am proud to be an alumna of. And I am very close-knit in a lot of movements, like the Black Lives Matter movement and the LGBT movement. And so I like to keep myself aware of today's movements, and I try to get involved in what I can because I do like to make a change.
And so in a real sense, you've had quite a bit of experience here as well as elsewhere dealing with a number of topics. But the topic today, I think, is somewhat intimidating in the sense that we often wonder what could an 11-year-old young lady, 13-year-old young lady, you started with us at 11, 13-year-old young lady bring to us dealing with the rise and fall of Adolf Hitler. Let's start it from that perspective, and during this first 6 minutes, then we'll pick up again after the first commercial break.
All right, well, the reason I chose this topic was because when I attended the summer program for verbally and mathematically precocious youth, I took a class entitled Nazi Germany and the Holocaust. In that class, we really dissected Nazi Germany and we dissected the world wars, and we talked about the Holocaust. But a big part of the Holocaust was, of course, Adolf Hitler. And so we really talked about his mindset and what would make someone so full of hatred. And it really sparked my curiosity, and I wanted to share the information that I received from camp with you. And so basically, Adolf Hitler, born Adolf Schicklgruber, was born to a small family in which he didn't have very much. And so for his childhood, he lived the average life of anybody in that day. I mean, he wasn't very poor, yet wasn't very rich, and he was normal. But things started to slowly go downhill as both his parents passed away and he was denied entry into art school. That's when Adolf Hitler really hit the cliff and just spiraled into this crazy mindset that we know him for today.
And so in a real sense, his background had a very, very important part in terms of why you decided to select the issue of dealing with the Holocaust. As a matter of fact, I think we've talked about the Holocaust on this show before and several other issues dealing with the Second World War. As a matter of fact, you included Hitler as one of the three great dictators when we did that show dealing with the European dictators during the Second World War. I think you included Mussolini, you included Stalin, and you also included Adolf Hitler. And so you're back again dealing with Adolf Hitler. And I think that when we come back during the second segment, we've got about 30 seconds before we end this period. When we come back during the second segment, we'll have you to start off talking about the rise and fall of Adolf Hitler. And of course, we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. Thank you and welcome back to the second segment of the show for today. The topic is the rise and fall of Adolf Hitler, and we're fortunate to have with us to talk about the rise and fall of this great German individual, Alana McLaughlin. And Alana, let's pick up where we left off the last time, because I was thinking in terms of some of the things you said in reference to his background and et cetera, but speak to him in reference to however you wish.
In the last segment, I talked about how Adolf Hitler's background had a very vital part in what made him the man that we know today. And so, well, I take that back. The monster that we know today. And so I basically talked about how he grew up in a normal household for that day and time, and nothing was really out of the ordinary up until both his parents passed away by the time he was the age of 19, and he was denied entry into art school. A lesser known fact about Adolf Hitler, he was really into art, and he could draw. He could draw faces and buildings from memory, but when it came to drawing full bodies and copying off of something, he wasn't very good at that. And so he did not pass the test to the art school that he applied for, and he was denied entry. So then, at that point, both his parents were dead, and he was homeless. So he was a homeless man for a while. He would live in shelters or on mattresses wherever he could find, or even in train stations. Then he decided to go back again and try to apply to art school again. He was denied entry once again. And so then again, he was homeless, but he did get an inheritance from his sister that was supposed to be left for him when his mother passed. So then he did have a little money on him. So he decided to buy some new clothes and try to freshen up his life. He started attending anti-Semite meetings where he would listen to people speak about how Jewish people are going to run Germany into the ground. And so then he started to get up and speak himself. And then he made a reputation of being a great speaker. He could get up and just talk and talk and talk. And a lesser known fact about Adolf Hitler, he had a problem with spitting. He would spit everywhere. But nevertheless, he talked and he talked and talked. And so after he made this very good reputation of being this great speaker, he started the Nazi Germany movement, basically, where he created the swastika, and people started to wear the swastikas as patches on them or on pins, and that's what really started the rise of Nazi Germany.
He actually himself created the swastika?
Swastika? Yes. Or he was the first one to reveal it. No one really knows. But either way, he's credited for the swastika. And so Adolf Hitler, after being known as this great speaker, was arrested and put into jail, where he wrote his autobiography, Mein Kampf. Mein Kampf was so poorly written that a bunch of editors turned it down. And so he asked a couple guards while he was in jail and a couple other cellmates to help him rewrite Mein Kampf. And then another fact about Adolf Hitler that a lot of people don't know, when he rose to power in Germany after being released from jail, he made every household in Germany own a copy of Mein Kampf. Every household had to have one. It was law. And for birthdays or weddings, you were supposed to give Mein Kampf as a gift. And so he knew that unless he made people buy the book, no one would buy it because it was poorly written. It didn't have a lot of punctuation, and it had a lot of grammatical errors. And so after the release of Mein Kampf, he just became known as this evil, evil man. And then he started to take movements against the Jewish people. It started with things like burning down a synagogue, and then making them clean it up and then pay for the damages. And then Hitler started to turn on his own guards. And so basically he would turn on the SS, and he killed a lot of his guards and then made a whole new foundation of guards and future leaders, which really helped